everybody, and welcome to another installment of Mego Museum's Vintage Mego. This is where we talk about Mego during its golden age heyday of the 1970s and early 1980s. And this week we are going back to 1980 or the 23rd century, depending on where you sit, and talking about the Star Trek, the motion picture, USS Enterprise Bridge Playset. Now, this is kind of I wouldn't say controversial toy, but it has its critics, and we'll delve into that a little bit. Let's give a little bit of a backstory before that, though. Mego had tremendous success with the Star Trek, the television series property, and had picked it up in 1975, and by 1976, really the crescendo of the brand, it represented 33% of all sales for the company that year. So Star Trek was a big hit, it burned brightly, and it lasted about 3 years, where it was kind of discontinued in 1978. However, the success of a little film called Star Wars made Paramount very interested in Star Trek once again, and they abandoned plans for a new television series called Star Trek Phase 2 in favor of a big-budget motion picture. Mego still had the master toy license to Star Trek, had to battle with Paramount, who believed that the movie was a separate license. And this is something nowadays that's commonplace, but that was new then. Mego was eventually successful in getting the Star Trek brand once again without much fight. However, Paramount did sell this as a separate license distinct from the television series. The most notable thing would be the Marvel Comics series, which was not allowed to reference the original series. No Romulans, no Charons, no Andorians. Instead of going with the 8-inch format, Mego sought to emulate what had become popular by Kenner and the Star Wars brand by making a new line of 3 3/4-inch action figures and playset environments. This included a Vulcan shuttle playset and, of course, our subject today, the Enterprise Bridge.
This is the command center of the USS Enterprise from the Star Trek collection. Assembly required.
Hey, look! There's Captain Kirk and Commander Decker and Officer Ilea.
There's also the Vulcan shuttle with docking port. You can put in Scotty and Spock and Dr. McCoy. Bridge, shuttle, and action figures each sold separately.
Wow, the crew goes back and forth.
Vulcan shuttle, USS Enterprise Bridge, and figures all sold separately by Mego.
One of the most successful toys of the 1970s was Mego's Star Trek Bridge for the 8-inch characters. This vinyl playset / carry case was an instant hit and a total toy store phenom. However, for the motion picture line, Mego would forgo the heavy cardboard wrapped in vinyl approach in lieu of a piece of vacuform styrene that did create an entire environment. Mego had created or proposed playsets in a similar fashion for other toy lines, such as Buck Rogers, the Pocket Superheroes, and even the Black Hole was supposed to get a styrene Cygnus playset that unfortunately did not come to fruition. And a Love Boat playset, which surprisingly did get made. While this is entirely cost-effective and certainly cheap to ship, it also had a factor of cheapness to it. It looked low quality. While the film was a success at the box office, its philosophical tone and slower pace did not relate to toy sales. Kids were not racing to buy Star Trek action figures. They just continued to buy more Kenner Star Wars. Now, over the years, I've seen people trash this set as garbage and compare it to Kenner Star Wars. And true, when you look at the Kenner Death Star playset, its mixture of cardboard and plastic is a much more desirable look and environment, and I wish Mego had gone there, but I picked up this set in 1981 when I was 10 years old, for 50 cents on clearance, and it became one of my favorite toys growing up. I was a humongous fan of the Marvel Star Trek comic, and I will defend it that it lasted a very long time, until I believe I was in the 11th grade and cut it up for a diorama project that I got a C+ on. So it did have some durability, and I can personally attest to getting hours of play out of this toy. I absolutely loved this playset as a kid. It is a happy memory. The Star Trek play pattern is unique to itself. It doesn't have the dogfights of Star Wars, but it does have the idea of discovery and alien races visiting the bridge. And I used this bridge to have all different characters from Empire Strikes Back, Battlestar Galactica, Fisher-Price Adventure people visit the Enterprise and have those kind of adventures. So yeah, it's not a Death Star, it's not a Millennium Falcon, but I had a lot of fun with this toy nonetheless. It is a great Star Trek toy. Mego, of course, planned to make a Vulcan shuttle that connected to the docking bay. This is why there's probably no transporter on this ship. The transporters were largely downplayed in Star Trek the Motion Picture. Unfortunately, it was not made. There's been people who said they've seen it, but it has never surfaced. I really wish it did exist. So while I'd be quick to agree with anyone who criticizes it as kind of a low-budget toy, I sure had a lot of adventures with this thing. I'm very fond of it, and I will defend it on YouTube. So that's it for me and Vintage Mego this week. Were you a fan of the Star Trek the Motion Picture line as a kid like me? Did you act out those Marvel comics like I did? Let me know. I need to find my tribe. You can hit me up on the comments here, or you can join me at our Facebook group, Mego Mania. We've got over 6,000 members and growing. It's crazy. And, of course, I check in every day at the forums at megomuseum.com, one of the last surviving forums on the internet. I hope you'll join me. Thanks, as always, for watching. If you're new to this, please consider hitting like and subscribe. I do this every week, and I am not running out of Megos to talk about. Until next time, take care, be well, and talk toys, not other people.